Your AI agrees with everything you say. That makes it worthless for any decisions that actually cost you something. So stop asking it once. I'll show you the 5 advisors I asked instead. The one trick that makes them honest and the decision they made for my family that I didn't want to hear. If you're new here, I'm Victor. I have 14 years in enterprise tech, companies like Apple, Adobe, and Cisco. And I share the AI systems I personally actually use, not the ones I'm just reviewing. I release new videos every week, so if you like what you hear, please feel free to subscribe and maybe even drop a like. Now, back to why your AI keeps agreeing with you. Essentially, Claude is a yes man, so is ChatGPT. Every model shipping today is trained to be helpful, and helpful quietly collapses into agreeable. You bring it a real decision, it finds the answer you were already leaning toward and hands it back in a tidy list of bullet points. That feels great, and that's kind of a trap as well. You leave validated instead of informed. You would never take life advice from someone who has never once told you that you were wrong, right? And that is the machine on your desk right now. That's exactly what the LLMs are doing. So, how do you get an honest answer out of a system built to please you? Well, you stop asking it once. One question goes in, 5 advisors answers it separately, each told to think in a completely different way. None of them sees the others while writing, so nobody's answer gets contaminated. Then those 5 answers go out for 5 anonymous peer reviews. Then the chairman reads everything and gives you a single verdict. 11 agents, about 2 minutes. 5 is the smallest number that forces some kind of genuine, real disagreement into an LLM system like ChatGPT or Claude that normally has no disagreement of its own. And the disagreement only works because of who these 5 people or agents are. Let me explain. The contrarian. It assumes your idea has a fatal flaw and hunts for it. It's the kind of friend who saves you from a really bad deal by asking what you've been avoiding. Then we have first principles, which ignores your question and asks what you're actually trying to solve. Sometimes the answer is that you asked the wrong question. After that, we have the expansionist. It only sees upside. And then we have the outsider, who generally knows nothing about you. It reads only what's on the page and catches everything you're too close to see. It's the most underrated of the 5 according to what I think. And finally, we have the executor who doesn't really care about anything and just asks what happens on Monday morning. Then, the contrarian pulls against the expansionist, the first principle agent pulls against the executor, the outsider keeps them all honest, and now the step everyone copying this idea leaves out. 5 advisors go all at once, in parallel. Their answers come back, get their names stripped off, and go out again for review amongst all 5. Then the chairman argue, review, and decide. That middle stage hides the detail that makes this beat every devil's advocate prompt you've ever written. It takes the names off. When reviewers know who wrote what, they nod along with whoever sounds the most convincing or smart, and you get politeness dressed up as analysis. Strip the names, and each reviewer sees 5 unlabeled answers and gets 3 questions. Which is the strongest? Which has the biggest blind spot? And what did all 5 of you potentially miss? That third question is the true goldmine here. I genuinely think that the blind spot section is the most valuable thing the council produces. And it only exists because nobody knows who said what. That's lifted straight from Andrej Karpathy's original LLM council theory, and it's the piece people usually skip. Which leaves one job. Somebody has to actually decide. The chairman doesn't count votes. It reads all 5 answers with the names back on, plus all 5 reviews. It names where the council agrees, because 5 minds converging separately is a strong signal, right? It also names where they all clash, and it refuses to smooth that over. because you need to see both sides. Then it calls it out. Here's the rule I care about the most when I run a LLM Council session. The chairman can overrule 4 out of 5 if the lone dissenter has the best reasoning, then they actually win. Truth isn't a popularity contest, least of all among 5 processes born from the same model. Then it gives you the one thing to do first. Not a list, one thing. That's the whole point of this system. Now I'm going to share a personal story of the week, and it kind of ruined for me. Me and Rebecca recently became parents, and we were deciding between 2 different preschools for our firstborn son, Leah. Rebecca and I had visited both. One was clearly better. Newer, tidier, more teachers per child, better setup for the years ahead. And we both walked away really wanting Liam to go there. It had one downside though, which we tried our best to minimize and kind of, look away from. It was a 25-minute car ride with no traffic, and closer to an hour if traffic was there, which it usually is in the mornings and the afternoons where we would drop off and pick up Liam. So that means 4 hours a day stuck in a car jam. The other school, however, was 10 minutes away, and 10 minutes on the worst day too. Older toys, a few less teachers per kid, but every friend of ours with a kid that went there still loved it. Probably around 40 minutes spent per day total picking up and dropping off. So me and Rebecca just went around in circles for a week talking this back and forth, because we really wanted 2 things that couldn't both be true. Here's a look at what we were choosing between. The heart pulled us in the left direction towards the shiny building, and the clock pulled us in the right direction. That gap isn't 4 hours a day. It's 19 hours in a traffic jam per week away from the kids we were driving there in the first place. We could both see it, but neither of us could say it out loud because saying it meant admitting we were about to not pick the better school. And that's exactly the moment a yes man is useless to you. So I gave it to the council, and I promised myself that I'd do whatever it recommended. It came back unanimous. 5 different minds, no contact, and every one of them chose the school down the road. I sat there, kind of annoyed, because I obviously wanted the good school. To me, that's why I asked. I just wanted it to kind of confirm what I already wanted. But that wasn't the case, and that kind of proved the point of this entire system. Alright, now let's go into a live demo where I'm going to show this system in action for a question that I've been considering for a while, which is how I should invest my kids' money. I have a pretty good understanding, and I might not go with the decision of the council, but it's still going to be interesting to hear and see what the council thinks and why. Because at the end of the day, the council also knows who I am, how I work and operate, and what's important to me. All right, we're in demo mode, so I prepared the prompt here. I just copied it from the presentation. So I'm going to ask the LLM Council skill by writing / LLM Council, which is what I named the skill. I said, council this. I'm investing for my kids on a 20-year horizon. Option A, one broad index fund, leaving it all alone forever, and it's just going to follow index essentially. Or option B, a higher risk allocation reviewed with Claude once every quarter. Pros and cons of both, which one and why. I haven't ran this before, so I'm just doing it right now live together with you guys. In all honesty, I don't want you guys to have to sit here for 2 minutes while this happens, so I'm just gonna make some video magic, and when we get back, the LLM will be done. Alright, sorry, I'm butting back in. I just wanted to let you know this is what it looks like. It's now running 5 separate agents for the contrarian, the first principles, the expansionist, the outsider, and the executioner to see what they all think about this idea, pros, cons, etc. So they're literally working in parallel right now to solve this exact problem. All right, I'll cut to Victor in the future when all this is done. All right, we are done. So we can see that we have a verdict, option A, no contest, 5 out of 5. But what I usually like to do is to review an HTML version of the presentation. So in this case, it's more visual to me, so it's just easier to read. Boring wins the kids' money. Verdict, option A, no contest, 5 out of 5. All right. Verdict one-liner. Option A, not a close call. All 5 advisors working independently from opposite angles landed on one broad global index fund, automated, reviewed once a year for mechanics only. You have zero structural edge in markets and no spare time to chase one. Makes sense. You're buying a feeling, not return. You already answered your own question. The real 10x lever is contribution habit, so just like investing the money is better than trying to beat the market. Option A, automated, funded on a fixed schedule that only ever moves in one direction, up. Makes sense. Where the council agrees, independent path, same destination. Option A matches what Victor actually said he wants. Durable, low maintenance, compound without chaos. Where it clashes, not A versus B, it's what to do with the energy. So escalate contributions on a variable trigger or on a fixed schedule. Alright, so option A should just be a set it and forget it. Spend my time and mental bandwidth somewhere else. What all 5 missed, the blind spots. What happens if you're not the one running this? As a sole provider, nobody asked whether the zero maintenance system survives you. So what happens if I die? Recommendation, automated, boring on purpose. Open account, pick a fund, automated transfer, annual checks for mechanics, 20-year compound. The one thing to do first, confirm the account survives any residency changes before you set anything up. Set it up, fund it, and forget it. Makes sense. All right, back in presentation mode. Now, before you cancel your next lunch order, make sure to consider these 3 areas. Number 1, make sure it's something that is genuinely uncertain. And if you're wrong, it's going to be really expensive, like what schools to put your kids in, job offers, money questions. Should you start or shouldn't you start a side hustle? Anything you've circled for a week or longer really goes to a good counsel case. Secondly, there might be areas where you've already decided and kind of want to stress test an idea or a thought or a plan, which is absolutely fine. But be honest, that's what you're actually doing. Number 3, if it's only one answer, like a simple writing task, low stakes stuff. Spinning up 11 agents and spending a bunch of tokens just to pick a meeting slot, it's just going to be a waste of everyone's time, even the agents at this point. Now here's the one thing for this week. Take the decision you keep circling. Install the counsel skill. Type counsel this and just ask the question you're burning to ask. Then decide before you read the verdict, which is important, that you'll actually take it seriously, even if it goes against your win or your intent or what you want to do. Building something that genuinely disagrees with you at times is only going to be worth it when it actually does disagree and you actually follow that disagreement. All right? That's the system in a nutshell. Your AI agrees with you because it was built to agree with you, which makes it useless for when it actually matters. 5 advisors who don't get along reviewing each other's blind spots fixes that. Now, the skill and all 5 advisors are free in the description below in the AI Counsel Kit, pointed at the decision you have been avoiding for the last couple of days or maybe even week or weeks. And let something finally tell you no, if that is the case. I drop new videos every week, so feel free to subscribe if you liked what you saw today, and I'll see you in the next one. This